Howdy folks, Todd here with Great Escape Farms. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of tools in the permaculture toolkit. And behind me here is our permaculture design plan, and for the most part we followed that over the last 11 years. So today I'm going to talk about 4 different features of this design behind me here, primarily dealing with the landscape here. So overall different ways to deal with different problems in the landscape, and also definitely a problem with one of my solutions here. So let me show you another board here and we'll get into more detail. Okay, this poster behind us helps with farm tours and some things we do here. So there's 3 different tools here with regards to the landscape that we use. Let me see if I can get the glare off of here for you. And basically we are talking about swales, we're talking about contour beds, and we're talking about contour row or contour plant row. And I'm actually going to start with the contour row first, because that is the first piece of the landscape that is hit here with regards to our hill. So we are what we call West Virginia level here. So it's a rather steep slope, and you can see, well, I don't know, sometimes video has a tough time showing that, but we have a bit of a steep slope here and we're actually near the top of it. So what I did here with the contour plant row is I took a laser level and I marked every 5 feet. I put a flag in the ground on a contour line, so it is level all the way across here. And then I dug a hole and I put plants in right on top of right on the ground, so I didn't make a ditch or anything else other than where the plants were going. Put the plant in, covered it up, and then what I've done is every year I've added mulch, and you can see a little bit of a mound back here. And that mound, the whole thought here with this contour plant row is that as the rain comes down the hill, it's going to hit the mulch and it's going to slow it down some. So it's not going to stop it. The mulch will let the water go right through. The reason this is working for me, and it's worked great, you can see hopefully behind me here, the plants are just doing beautifully. And even in drought, they do great back there because there's so much mulch. Every year I add a little bit to it. And the reason that it does okay here is because we're at the top of the hill. If we were closer to the bottom of the hill and we got a lot more water coming down, then it would actually wash the mulch away. But because we're near the top of the hill, I don't get excessive wash off. I just get enough to keep everything moist and allow it to sink in some, and the excess kind of flows through on down. So our next tool in the toolkit here is what I call contour beds. And what these are is basically I took a 2-bottom plow and I dug out, I think each one is 16 foot, and I shoved the dirt or the soil to the downhill side, and basically it made a very elongated horseshoe, if you will, and I filled that up with compost. And I've been building it for several years now, and I mainly put annuals in here. So what it does is with the soil on the downhill side, it kind of traps water in. The downside of that, and I'll show you that in a minute when I turn the camera around here, is I have had some overflow with some excessive rain, and I've had some issues with what some of the critters have done here. So let me go show you that real quick. So this particular spot right here is an area where we washed out right here, and you can see it just overflowed and it washed the mulch down. Not that big a deal. If it had been a tropical storm or something that was going to continue raining for an excessive period of time, yeah, I would add a serious wash away here instead of just a little bit of mulch washing out. So this I can simply push back up. Where I had a larger issue was over here. So this bed did get a little bit of washout right here, but the big issue was I had some moles and voles digging in my hill here, and because of that I had water coming out through their hole here, and I had a little bit more washout here than what I wanted. Again, we had a lot of rain this year and it wasn't catastrophic, but it's certainly something I need to address in order to handle the excess rain here. So I've had this in for 4 or 5 years at least. Never had an issue, but this year was weird weather patterns and we did have an excessive amount of rain. So some may ask, well, why on earth are you doing this? Why do you have a bed out like this? And again, I'm on a hill here. This allows me to plant in, but it allows me to control stuff. So this is Jerusalem artichoke here. And Jerusalem artichoke, as you can see, I put 12 plants in here and I have 1,000 or so right now. Jerusalem artichoke just goes crazy. And by having grass all the way around and having in a bed all of its own, it allows me to control it. So if it gets growing out into the grass or somewhere I don't want it, I just go vroom and run right over it with the lawnmower, and it contains to this area. So I very much like these. I have some other invasive plants. Some people wouldn't call them invasive, but raspberries. So I'll show you later on my swale here. Actually, I'll show you right now. But this is a raspberry plant right here. I put in a single raspberry plant and it's taking up 10 to 12 foot. I have another one down there taking 15 or so feet. So they do like to spread. And these contour beds right here will help control the spread. Okay, on to the swale. So I am at the beginning of our swale here right now, and I'm going to try to walk without falling, walking backwards here. And this is a 650-foot swale. So what a swale is a ditch on contour, and we took a 2-bottom plow and we did 2 passes on this where we threw the soil towards the downhill side, and then we groomed it with a rogue hoe or a firefighter's hoe. It's a very heavy-duty hoe, just a fancy name for it. And we groomed it, we planted into it, we never ever packed it down, the main part of the swale here, and we add a little bit of mulch each year, a little bit of weeding. So it's not 100% maintenance free. And in the ditch right here, it gets weeds and grass and stuff growing in it, so that does need to be mowed or weed whacked. So it does require a little bit of maintenance. I do have right here an area that was packed down, and that is called a spillway. And our spillway drops water down to a pond there, and then the pond has piping to gracefully let the water out. So I control where the water goes. We calculated this out, so we are about 6 foot wide, 4 inches down, and it is packed here, and then we have grass planted on it. Right now it's a little overgrown, but we usually keep it pretty well weed whacked and mowed, so it will allow water, any excess water, to overflow here across a wide area, not a narrow area, so it doesn't cause any wash away. And the plants that are in here are some of the best growing on the property. The type that you just put in the ground and leave. You'll see the most fertile soil is our last option, which is the sheet mulch garden, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the stuff that's here, anything that loves water, just absolutely loves the swale. So in West Virginia, we get a lot of water, but we get it all in 10-minute spurts. The swale is a ditch on contour, so it's a ditch. It stops the water, allows it to sink in. The excess goes out through the spillway and into the pond. And this has been great. As I say, there is some maintenance stuff. So there's some regular maintenance stuff if it's treated properly, like just mowing and adding more mulch and doing a little bit of weeding. There's also, if you're being bad, and my wife and I have been bad. So behind me, you can see is the chicken coop, and we come up, we use the swale as a step. We step on the swale and we feed the chickens, give them treats and stuff like that. And that's bad because in stepping on it, we are packing the swale down. And in doing so, we end up by causing a low spot, and it needs maintenance. So what we've been doing this year is we're going with the laser level again, and anywhere that we have a low spot, we are adding a little bit more soil, we're spreading it out a little, and we're making sure that the only overflow in the swale is back where the spillway is. So a swale is absolutely not maintenance free, but if you're willing to do a little bit of maintenance, for us it has been a wonderful tool. It's primarily designed for growing trees and getting trees started with shrubs and herbaceous perennials in between, but I don't have quite as many trees here as I should. I absolutely love the concept of the swale and the fact that it's watering my plants, and Like I showed you raspberry a minute ago, it is doing just absolutely great, as are all of the other plants in here. And for me, I just love having a wall of edible plants here right up against the fence where the chickens are, so I can get mine from my side and they can get theirs from their side, and I'm sharing. So let's move on to the last part, which is the sheet mulch garden, and I'll go over that concept, and I'm actually going to go into the sheet mulch garden and give you a tour of that in a separate video. This is our sheet mulch garden. Actually, the sheet mulch garden is right behind me, but this is our sign for the sheet mulch garden, which explains what's going on. So I used AI to help me generate this nice little graphic here and the words down below, and I couldn't have described it better myself with the input I gave it, so I'm just going to go with it. But basically what we did here is we used the existing footprint of what the previous owners of this property had for a garden, and when we received the property, it was basically a clay and rock overgrown mess full of weeds. So we came in and we put some rock dust down just to make sure there was enough, all of the required minerals there. Then we put layer after layer after layer of corrugated cardboard with all of the stickers and tape and staples taken out, and we wetted it inside and out, and we did multiple layers overlapping by a foot on each one, and basically we created probably an inch to 2 inches solid of corrugated cardboard wet on the ground. Then we started adding layers. So I was coming out here every weekend at the time. I was gathering up leaves that my neighbors raked up and bagged up. I just threw them in the trailer, brought them out here, spread them out. I went to a horse farm and got manure and put that on top. Found some tree trimmers that were trimming up mulch, and I put that on top. And I found some farmers that had some rotten hay and some rotten straw that were in the process of rotting, and I went and I picked that up and I put it down. Any kind of organic matter that we could come up with, we added in layer after layer, and we kept doing it over and over and over again. That's where it gets its name, lasagna garden, because it's just like lasagna. You do layer after layer after layer, and then you start repeating again. So we did that for the entire fall. And our last layer was a layer of wood chips, and we let it sit over the winter. That spring we put a couple annuals in and stuff, and they did pretty good, but that fall we started putting perennials in. So we're 1 year in from when we started this project, and we had phenomenal growth. And that was, let's see, 11 years ago now. And this is the most fertile soil on the property right now. Anything we put in here grows absolutely great, and it's just absolutely an awesome place to be. So if you want a tour of the sheet mulch garden, you can check out the link right up here in the corner. I will add a link and we will give you a tour. Over the course of the years, we've had several different tours, probably one a year here of the sheet mulch garden. You can see how it's improved. It is mainly a perennial garden, and anywhere that we have free space, we just plop an annual in just to fill up that space. That's it for the overall different tools in the permaculture toolkit that we're using right here in this little space. This is just one field. We have other things that we're going to do. We have a food forest. We have a food forest expansion that we're going to do. We have some terracing and stuff that we're doing in the food forest, and we'll show you that. So look for another video on that coming in the future. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great day.